Matt and the team. So I have the questions here in front of me. I really like them. I took some notes. Probably I'm not gonna go one by one, but at some point I'll be reading them. I hope not to be too long, because when I start talking, it's hard to stop me sometimes. So I try to be like sharp. Right. So, well, this is John. I'm the co-founder of Sananco. Sananco is a destinational co-living space in Spain on the Mediterranean coast. And yeah, we are right in the middle of all of this madness. So I'm gonna try to reply to the questions. The biggest challenge you faced, for me, it was like it was a real challenge. And I always believe that we get to know each other or ourselves better when we face new challenges in life. So I knew when this was all starting that it was going to be a new reaction that I was going to face in my life. I'm pretty proud of how the team reacted to all of this. It all started not last Saturday, like 2 weeks ago. I remember we were like people in the house, like the house was full. We were all having drinks outside Saturday. Something's going on in Italy, but we were like kind of relaxed here, going out, dancing, hugging each other. And suddenly on Tuesday, everything started to change. I came to Sananco. Things were already a little bit weird, and one of the guests had flu. So here is when all of the alarms kind of jumped. And luckily, my mom, she's an epidemiologist, so she's exactly in the middle of all of this epidemic, and she was a huge help for us. And she has been a really good support in terms of how to react, because when something like this happens, you don't know exactly what you should do. There's so much information around. And here is the trickiest point for me. When I saw when this guy told me that he had flu, I was like, okay, we need to react now. So how? We need to react in the best way, in the best way for the company, the best way for the other guests, the best way for the world. So we act responsibly. My biggest I was really afraid of people in the house feeling panic, seeing somebody feeling sick and kind of being worried, because there was a lot of uncertainty at that moment. So yeah, called my mom. She was like, okay, measure the temperature, because at that point I think I became an expert now, but at that point I didn't know what were the symptoms or anything. So take the temperature. If it's coughing and if it has problems to breathe, then it can be coronavirus. But first, let's go step by step. So we buy a thermometer. We measure the temperature. He's fine, no fever. Okay, no fever. It's okay. Relax. There is nothing going on. The day after, another one feeling sick again. Did the same procedure, no fever. And it was like that the whole week. So we try to say, okay, at some point I was taking so much responsibility on my shoulders. Okay, I think we need to. I was trying to save the world and save our business and save our community at the same time. So I take a step back. I was like, okay, let's do everything that is on our hands, because apart from that, there is nothing else we can do. That this is going far away from our control. So that's when we started to make decisions. Okay. There is always a fine line, I think, between what decisions you make, because this was just starting here. So what decisions you make, so it's not overreacting, so people don't get scared or people don't get panicked because of the overreactions, but what reactions or what decisions you make in order to act responsibly. So it was always like a fine balance between those two things. Like I think Spain has been like a country where everything like kind of started. Like it was like Italy was the first one, but then Spain came and then it spread to whole Europe. So I think now people, after seeing some examples of countries that they see more related to themselves, they are acting beforehand. But in our case, was like, okay, should we overreact? Should we not overreact? So going through the next questions, like we had a meeting in the house, and we took all of the decisions that we think we should take, plus talking to my mom, plus all of the decisions they wanted us to take as well, right? Like this is a house, we all need to feel comfortable. These are the measurements or the healthy and safety policy that we are implementing here. But what else do you want us to implement in order for you to feel comfortable in this place that we are all living together, right? So we bought like hand sanitizer, which was a challenge already because the pharmacies were like running out of hand sanitizers. We tell the cleaning lady in this case that she was going to come more often and make sure we pay an extra attention to cleaning all of the doors and stuff like that. We provision everyone with more paper towels, provisional paper towels, disposable gloves. There was a digital thermometer station available for everybody, and it was really clear in the meeting. Like there were two things which I think it's really important when it comes to co-living, and it's the role of a host in a situation like this. And on one hand, it was really important to train the staff and give them real numbers and official numbers. So, because it's really easy to get lost in all of the information that is around. So, real number and official numbers, a little bit of context and a little bit of perspective also in this all of madness, because it's important that we are relaxed and we are calm. And it's also really important that the guests feel that we are calm, we are relaxed, and they feel supported as well. So during that meeting we had with the guests, it was really important for me to communicate them. Like we were in quarantine, so you cannot go out. It was very clear that they cannot go out. For some digital nomads, in our case, it was like a little bit of a freedom blocking. Like freedom is so important for digital nomads, and suddenly the freedom was being blocked because they weren't able to leave the house as much as they wanted. And for me, one of the clear messages to people was like that this fight is not about us, the young people. This fight is to protect the older ones and the ones who are like facing health issues. So if we are not allowed to get out of our homes, it's not because of us, it's because we need to protect the older people here. And then the second message I really wanted to share with them is that somehow we are really privileged. Like, so most of you are able to work remotely. Some of you might lose a few clients, but there are hundreds of people, hundreds of single moms, like staying at home with 3 kids, maybe lost their jobs. So I think we also need to be grateful for the situation that we have when we are fighting against this problem, right? Another measurement we made in order to support them mentally also, it was to be here. Like, I think it can be easy to hide yourself. Like, okay, quarantine, I stay in my home and they stay in the co-living space, and we keep it like this because this is for the best. I personally decided to move to the house, and also another colleague also did the same, for 2 reasons. One, because I still need to come to work. So in order to, I thought it was better to live here rather than to be like going back and forth my home to the co-living space, because I don't live in the co-living space. But secondly, because I felt in this type of situations, they needed to be supported. Like, I'm on the same boat. I'm not hiding somewhere else, or I'm not like leaving you alone with all of this situation, even though I come and go. So I decided to move with them, to support them. I felt like I was the only Spanish person in the room, so following the news, and also I think that having my mom, which is an epidemiologist, gave me a lot of information and a lot of context. So I think that was also life-changing, not life-changing, but I don't know, it's really important that they feel supported, and I think they all felt supported. And I think we all did, right? Because it was really clear during this meeting also, it was like, okay, guys, the symptoms are fever, problems to breathe, and coughing. If the first thing we're gonna do, if you feel bad, you take the thermometer and you measure your temperature. If you have no fever, you have no coronavirus. Full stop. What happens if you have fever, if you have cough, if you are coughing and you have breathing problems? We have a telephone number from the government that we can call, and they want to tell us what to do. Most probably, you might need to stay in your room, quarantine for 14 days. If that happens, we all gonna be here supporting you and taking care of you. So we will be cooking for you, and we can bring you the food to your room. So this is one of the beauties of being during the quarantine in this type of situation, because we can all support each other. And I think that for some reason, the whole atmosphere we created there of presence and support and information gave us a lot of security also, and they felt safe, because I think they all start caring. Well, they always care from each other, but even more. So that was, I think, the communication was really, really clear and really transparent. I think we handled that really well. And as I said at the very beginning, it's really tricky, right? Do you overreact so people get panic, or do you don't take enough measurements so people don't realize what's going on, but then you act irresponsibly? So there is always the magic there, right? That was the first challenge we had, but I think transparent information is really important. During this meeting also, we created some rules together: clean your hands before you cook, and clean your hands after you get in the house, always mandatory. And then all of the other measurements that I already shared with you and that we took. When it comes to mental health, again, being super supportive and having real information and you can share with them, and be always available. And in our case, even us moving here in the house made them feel a lot more secure. I was really surprised also, because I thought digital nomads, or at least our members who already decided to stay here, even though there was something going on in the world, had an open mind to all of these circumstances, because the people who were scared, they already canceled before coming here. They didn't want it to risk. So at least people we had here in the house were people who had were a little bit less scared of all of this situation. As I said, when we didn't have anybody having coronavirus or feeling sick, this is the way we communicate to them about the virus. It was clear, the procedure. They felt safe, and they knew what was the procedure here if that happens. We had 8 people in the house at that point, so face-to-face communication was the easiest and the best one in this type of situations. Vale. And then strategies for the future. One of the biggest operational symptoms for me was, in this case, the cleaning person. I was a little bit afraid that she was going to be afraid of all of these situations. She's a girl who lives in the town. She in Javea. I don't think she traveled a lot, so it was for me a big challenge. Right? Maybe she feels scared, which is normal as well, and she don't want to come. She doesn't want to come to work to Sananco. Again, a lot of information. I think we gathered a lot of information and real facts. So that was also important. The way we communicate with her about the risks there were, about the measurements we were taking, all of the official procedures that cleaning people had to have in hotels. So I think that gave her a lot of security. But it's true that the government recently, on 2-3 days ago, launched the new announcement that hotels, hostels, and campings need to close their doors unless they have long-term guests, and they need to have a habitable areas in order to keep these long-term guests. So as soon as the cleaning lady in this case read that news that we were going to close, I think she got even more scared. At that point, we decided that it was okay, that she doesn't need to come. We need to close this Friday. But even though the cleaning lady will decided by herself not to come anymore because she can be scared, I think we reached a situation with the guests where they also understood that this can happen. So I think we will easily arrange something where they clean their rooms themselves. Also, I think in a situation like this, some people even prefer that nobody from outside comes in the house. So I think we already agree, I already could see that we all together could take care of the cleanliness of the house out by ourselves. So I didn't see that as a big problem. For the future, making sure that we take all of the safety and health policies. I will promote Sananco as a mentally safe space to spend the quarantine if that happens again in the future, because and I will try to understand also how the law works in order for us to make sure we can keep our house open, because the government just released this announcement, and it's not very clear if we are able or not. If we are not able to keep the house open, it doesn't specify how many people per cell kitchen, how many people per cell bathroom you should have available, and we didn't want to make the risk or take the risk of having a huge fine of plus 60,000 euros fine in case the police comes and doesn't agree with what they see. So first, make sure that we can get a host guest long term here, how many, and then also promote that before this happens, because I think it's mentally healthy space, this one, to spend a quarantine surrounded by like-minded people where we can all support each other. In terms of business model and marketing, we have to close our doors for the following month for sure. We'll see how long it lasts. We've been thinking about a few things. We've been thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign with our members. We've been thinking about creating an online membership option where we can still keep up the community building and the community spirit. I think co-living spaces build really strong communities and help many people grow personally and professionally. And I think people are really supportive, and they really want us to continue doing what we do. So there are many ways that we can help each other. As I said, like the crowdfunding campaign, we were thinking can be like pay now and spend that money in the future, or you get a discount in the future. We are still kind of brainstorming around that, but it all depends on how long it takes this. Like we can support a few months maybe, or a couple of months.